Hello everyone, it is Liam, the Death Doom Metalhead, and today I'm doing my top 10 underappreciated death metal albums. So these albums are ones I don't ever see people talk about, or people are aware of them and a lot of people aren't aware of them, that kind of thing. And the whole video is trying to promote bands you might not have checked out or albums you might not have checked out. And I'll maybe make a series of this with different styles, but at the moment here is my 10 death metal albums I think you should be checking out that you may have not heard and are underappreciated. So number 10 is a Polish band that I've seen no one talk about ever when I've been doing this whole YouTube thing, the whole time I've been doing it, and that is the band Martyrdoom, and this is their only full-length album called Grievous, Psychosis. This came out in 2017 through Memento Mori, and is a blend of, say, Obituary and Asphyx is the best way I could describe these guys. They're a really solid band with big riffs. It's really heavy. The vocals are very Asphyx, Obituary style. So you got that band in with the, is it John Tardy, the Obituary vocalist? That kind of style where it blends in their kind of long barked growls. They've got some really doomy areas in there as well to kind of mix it up. But this is a solid death metal album. Really, really cool band. One that should put out some more music by now, to be fair. I mean, it's been a while since they put out another album. This is their only full length. And they're a wicked, wicked band, and this is a wicked album. So if you've never checked this out, I'm obviously going to leave links to everything I'm talking about in this whole video. But my number 10 is Martyrdoom with Grievous, Psychosis. Number 9 is a Danish band that have been around since the early 90s, and they've changed their style a fair bit over the years, but they are still very brutal, very heavy and big drinkers, and that is the band Illdisposed with the album With the Lost Souls on Our Side. This came out in 2014, and I think this is their 12th album, something ridiculous like that. Now, going by the cover, you would never ever know what you're going to get with this, in my opinion. When I first saw this, I had no idea what it was, and when I checked it out, it was fucking awesome. Very groovy, very thick, chunky death metal. This has certainly got a more modern sound, where it was more emphasis on groove than the brutality. The vocals are still guttural. It's a massive breakdowns, like the starting album song, Going Down. It's magnificent. One of those ones where if you have a big crowd of people, there's one way to make them go mental. It's a solid, solid song. And all of these are, you've got the big funky, very gated guitar tone, over the top growls, blasts for days, a really thick drum sound, and yeah, just a wicked album that I've never ever seen anyone talk about. I mean, these guys have got a fair few, and their early stuff is quite sought after, I believe. But this, to me, and the one after it as well, fantastic album. So yeah, Illdisposed with the Lost Souls on Our Side. That's my number 9. Number 8 is a fairly well-known band, but again, and it's an album I don't ever see really people talk about. And I don't know if it's just because it's too extreme, or because you always get people talk about the big American style bands, never these guys, and that is Belphegor with Goat Reich Flesh Cult. This came out in 2005, and I think this is their 5th full length from this Austrian death metal band. Wicked, wicked band, very eerie live. If you ever see these guys live, they put on a really weird show where the vocalist is almost like a zombie doing death metal, and I think that's what he's aiming for, but it's really, really cool to see. And they're a fantastic live band. But this album is brutal. First album I ever heard from these guys was this one. And the track Bleeding Salvation, it might be. I forget now. But I remember it had like weird pinch harmonics to start it with some stabbing drums, and it was just, I was all in. And I've been a fan of that band ever since. I mean, the inverted crosses on the logo, everything screams to me a band I love. And this album is wicked, really cool. They've never put out a bad album to me. And they're a very, very cool band. But this one, it's just got big riffs. It's got kind of a blackened death metal feel to it as well. There they are there. And yeah, I've always been a fan of this band since the first day I heard them. So go check it out if you haven't. I'll again leave links below. But yeah, number 8, Belphegor. 7 is a band that's sadly no longer around because the vocalist was a legendary vocalist and passed away, but we have here the band Firespawn with their debut album Shadow Realms. I think this came out back in 2015, and this band is a supergroup, as it were, Swedish legends. You've got LG Petrov on vocals, who was the main reason behind the band, I think. You got people from, I forget now off the top of my head, but from members from Entombed, a few others in there as well. I didn't really write that down, to be fair. But this band, the only reason I knew about it was because of LG Petrov, and it's just a killer band. My preferred band for his vocals. I love Entombed and all that, but when he did Firespawn, I really, really liked that. And this was the album that captured my imagination. The cover, a Paolo Gradi one, I was instantly all in. And the song, I think it was Lucifer Has Spoken, which is the main single, I think, from this album. Just really catchy, really easy to get into, and then the rest of the album kind of follows along. Just big riffs, it's technical when it needs to be. It's just wicked, wicked. So yeah, if you've never checked this band out, I don't know why you wouldn't have, because I would imagine most people have, but no one ever talks about this album. They only speak about the last one, because they only did 3. But go back and check out this one. So yeah, Shadow Realms, that's my number 7. Number 6 is some more Polish death metal, but this band have changed their style a lot over the years. But they've been around since 91, and this again is their 4th full length from 2003, and that is the band Hate with Awakening of the Liar. Now this band formed in the early 90s, and they were purely a death metal band. You could almost compare them to Vader very easily, because they have that very similar style, both Polish, vocal styles similar. But over the years they've changed a lot, and they've become a bit more of a blackened kind of death metal band, and nowadays you could probably compare them to Behemoth almost. They're very, very similar, very most cosmetically look the same as well. But it's fucking awesome. This album is very much a brutal death metal album, with the blast beats on it are very mechanical, very machine gun like, big riffs. It's just all out death metal. And the track The Scrolls is my favourite, and that was the first ever Hate song I ever heard. And that's probably the reason why I love this album so much, because it is just a brutal song. And I think my vocalist Dan in Consecration, he had the DVD of these guys playing this stuff live when they were that style, and it was, yeah, blew my mind how good they were. So if you've never checked out Hate, go check out this album. But you know, they vary in style. So if you want all out Vader worship, go with early stuff. Middle stuff is more brutal death metal with the kind of mechanical drums, and then the latter stuff is very much a black end death metal style. So yeah, Hate, that's my number 6. Chuck that over there. Number 5 is an American band that sounds like a European band. And when I first heard this album, and it's their only full length, I was convinced they were like Swedish or Finnish or something like that, but they're not. They're from America. And that is Deathevokation with their album The Chalice of Ages. Now, this came out, I think, in 2007. Yeah. And it's just a fucking amazing album. Big, heavy death metal with the kind of asphyx, Entombed, all those kind of styles of the European sound. They have a Finnish kind of sound to them as well. Obviously, the band name is inspired by Dismember, so you obviously compare them to that as well. And they're just fantastic. This has got some doomy elements to it. It's just a thick, heavy death metal album. So if you're a fan of any of those kind of bands I've mentioned, you'll already like this band. They are still active, and I think they still play live, but they've never recorded anything after this. This is the only one they have out. I'm very privileged to have this on vinyl. So yeah, go check it out. It's a wicked, wicked album. So yeah, that is my number 5. Number 4 is some Satan worshipping death metal from America. This band has been going around since the late 80s, and they're still going strong, only bar one member is the original member. But this album is a special one because it has 2 legendary musicians in it that kind of heightened the band back up again. This is Vital Remains with Dechristianize. This came out in 2003, when that was their 5th full length at the time. Now this features Glenn Benton of Deicide on vocals. This is the only, I think he only did 2 albums with them. The one after this as well with him on vocals, and it really heightens it, because the other albums are okay, but this one was the one that really captured my imagination of this band. But what really sells it is Dave Suzuki. He plays drums on this, he does all the melodic lead work on this, all the solos, and it's incredible what he can do, because like the title track Dechristianize is probably the best song on here, and one of my top 10 death metal songs ever. And it just the sweet picking he does on there, and I mean the drumming on it, if it is him, because it's hard to believe that he could do that, because it's very, very intense, and his feet, just if he is doing it, just go on and on and on. It's incredible, the blasts on here and the sound of it and how organic it is and how intense it is. And obviously you got Glenn Benton barking vocals on here. They're a fantastic style. and they sound brilliant on here. Like some Deicide albums sound a bit shit, but on here he sounds amazing. There they are there. Now Dave Suzuki, I think, is in a doom death band now called Churchburn, so he's completely changed his style. But Tony Lazaro, I think his name is, yeah, he's the only guy, and he's still keeping the band going, and he is the rhythm guy. But you know, all this album is fantastic. It's just so intense, it's heavy, it's the perfect gym album. I'll show you with that. And yeah, that's my number 4 pick of Vital Remains. Number 3 is some Norwegian death metal, and I saw these guys live when this album came out, and that was the whole reason I became a massive fan of this band, because I was convinced they were a black metal band when I first heard of them. And that is Blood Red Throne, and this is their self-titled album from 2013, and it's their 7th. These guys formed in the late 1998, I think it was, late 1998. And yeah, a wicked death metal band formed by 2 former live guitarists of Satyricon, and they've kind of then gone on and become even heavier, and there's only Dodd left, who's the original member of the band. Still going strong, very groovy death metal, and this is brutal. Really cool album. This has one of my favourite tracks on it, Primitive Killing Machine. When I saw that live, absolutely floored me. There's bodies going everywhere, it was fantastic. And then when I saw them live again a few years later in the tiny little town of Peterborough here in the UK, they absolutely decimated. Like, there was only like 30 people there, but it was so intense, it was fantastic. You know, for a small room, they made the crowd go absolutely mental. And I've been a massive fan of these guys ever since. They're still going strong now. They put an album out a few years ago on Nuclear Blast. I think they've got another one coming out this year, possibly. But go check this one out, because this one's got some wicked riffs. It has a drummer. Forget his name, who the drummer is. If I can find out for you. Probably not. I'm not going to try, because that's not what this video is about. But there's a young Swedish drummer on this, and he adds to the sound massively. So yeah, Blood Red Throne, self-titled, wicked album. Number 2 is a Dutch band. The last 2 are actually Dutch. This is a supergroup band. I've only done 1 album, and I think a single on a 7-inch, which I also have. And this album is fantastic, one of the best for me. Grand Supreme Blood Court with Bow Down Before the Blood Court. Now, this came out back in 2012, and they formed in 2009, and then they did this, and then a single, and then nothing else after that. They've done nothing since then. Now, eagle-eyed people will know exactly who these people are. So you've got, I forget his name, but he was the bass player in Hail of Bullets. He's in Siege of Power. Mr. Van Drunen himself, Asphyx, Pestilence, Halo, you know, fucking millions of bands. Current bass player for Asphyx. Eric here was the original Asphyx guitar player, who's now in Soulburn. And Bob Backus here, original drummer for Asphyx, who's in Siege of Power, Beast of Revelation, shit tons of Dutch bands. And they put out this album here, which is thick, nasty death metal, which sounds exactly like Hail of Bullets, sounds exactly like Asphyx, sounds exactly like all the bands they've ever been in. And I love it, absolutely love it. It's thick, heavy, doomy death metal with a buzz kind of guitar tone to it. It's massive sounding, and it's just a wicked album. There he is there. I mean, he's done so much work, Van Drunen, and you could easily say they all sound similar, just purely because I think it's just the musicians involved, they're all friends. And yeah, an amazing album. It just goes, Fed to the Balls, Grand Justice, Grand Pain, you know, the whole album is flawless to me, but Fed to the Balls is probably my favourite off this whole album. The bass tone on it as well is massive. It's like someone just clanking the shit out of it. It's fantastic. So yeah, number 2, Grand Supreme Blood Court. And number 1 is probably no surprise to most people that know me well. Another Dutch band, and one of my favourite, if not my favourite death metal band ever. Gorefest, with their last ever album, Rise to Ruin. This came out in 2007. Band formed in, I think, 89. Put out a string of classic albums, then they went a bit classic rock for 2 of them. Then they came back again after a hiatus with 2 solid albums, and this was the last one, Rise to Ruin. And this was the first one I ever heard from them. And it was just fantastic. It's massive. The vocals are hit and miss for a lot of people, because he does sound like the Cookie Monster a little bit. But I love it. I absolutely love it. But none of the members nowadays do anything. I think Ed Warby is the only one who was a drummer who still does any kind of big musical projects. He's in oh god, he's in loads of different things, but he's also in a Death Doom band called 11th Hour, which features Pim Blackenstein from Officium Trist, and I think the other guitarist, Frank, I forget his surname, but he was also in that band. But anyway, when they were doing Gorefest and this last one, it's got a more modern sound. So the early stuff is very brutal, guttural, very 90s sounding, which you'd expect. But when they came back with this one, it's got a very heavy direction. It's just balls to the wall. It's fast, heavy, thick. It slows down in some parts, but it's brutal. It sounds absolutely huge. And it's put out through Nuclear Blast, so you know it's going to be good. So yeah, that is my number one pick for albums that are underappreciated in the death metal world. Rise to Ruin by Gorefest. An amazing one. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. It's only a short little thing I wanted to do. And I kind of want to try and maybe make a series of little top 10 lists of underappreciated albums. So let me know if there's any that you think are underappreciated and people never talk about in the comment section below. Like the video as well to let YouTube know I'm alright. And if you are new to the channel, considering subscribing, I'll put content all here for you to check out. And in the meantime, please take care. I'll speak to you guys soon. Cheers.